Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Is there a moment you get to the NBA, okay, you play summer league, there's some pros there, but then there's a lot of people who are trying to make it. And then you get into practice and you're playing against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and, all NBA, future Hall of Fame style players. Is there a moment where you were like, oh, I can do this? Like, was there something that happened in a practice where you're like, I can play with these guys. I'm okay here. Or was it more the opposite? Like, oh my goodness, this is hard.
Yeah. I wouldn't say there was really necessarily either of the two. I mean, I remember, a practice and training camp, we're kind of scrimmaging a little bit and I get checked in and I think I scored like a couple buckets right away coming off the bench. And I was like, this is fun, but I don't know if there was necessarily like a specific moment either way where I was like, oh, like this is going to be bad or this is going to be great. Like it was kind of just even keeled, kind of up until the season, honestly.
Yeah. Everyone's got their Joe stories, the speeches he does, the, mindset things he talks about. I'm sure you got to know him pretty well this year. You've played for Greg McDermott and all these different coaches now. How would you describe the experience playing for Joe, and what kind of coaching style did he use with you? Because I know he had a different style for everybody on the team.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, I honestly really respect Joe, and I like his bluntness when he coaches, and that's something that, that's kind of how he just coached me, just very blunt and very, just telling me how it is, and how it was going to be. And, I can appreciate that because then there's no, miscommunications about, what's going on or what to be expected.
Yeah. Was there a moment that stands out from conversations with him just being blunt, him being, honest with you,
I mean, we're kind of right after training camp before the season started, I kind of had, I had a meeting with him and he was pretty much like, listen, like, I don't really like rookies. So, you're going to have to battle this year. And that's kind of how it is. And I was like, all right, that's fine. All right. So
how hard is that to get into that?
That's when it sticks out.
How hard is it to get into that circle of trust with Joe? Because, again, he's got his guys, he's got his rotations, he's playing his thing, and you're like, hey, look at me. I want to, I can play too. Is that challenging?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a challenge, but I think, you just have to be ready to take advantage of obviously the opportunities you get. And, like you said, once you get into that, circle of trust, that's where you want to be. But, obviously I knew coming into the year that, opportunities were going to be limited with bringing everybody back from a team that just won a championship. But like you said, I was ready to, make an impact when my number was called and was hoping my number was going to get called. So.
And when you had that big game, like I think the 20-point game against Brooklyn, did it feel like this kind of like breakout moment? Like now everybody in the world can see what I'm capable of. It was at the Garden. I thought it was one of the best Garden environments of the year, but like, what was that? What was that game like? And do you still think about that game, or is it like that just contained to that night?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I really think about that game much anymore, but I definitely think, at the time, like, obviously I had a pretty good game, a few games before that playing Philly. But the game wasn't as close, obviously, as the Brooklyn one, and kind of being able to push the lead out a little bit in the fourth quarter before I came out, and kind of, like you said, I thought the Garden was definitely rocking that night. It definitely, like, that stretch of those two games definitely gave me, a lot of confidence going into the remainder of the season, that, obviously, I can do it. And I never really didn't think I could do it. Obviously, it's just a matter of time, honestly. And it's definitely, a game that, it's a lot of fun to look back on and think about, but I don't really do it too much, that often, honestly.
Baylor, you might have noticed in your first year in Boston that Boston media tends to overreact to both the positive and the negative. But as far as that particular game goes, everyone got really geeked up, and I'm going to say we on the Garden Report might have, gone a little overboard, in
I don't
terms
think
of
we
like,
got overboard. You could feel it in this building that like his life was kind of changing in front of us.
well, not overboard, but we got a little excited and we thought, wait a second. What if Baylor gets more minutes? And what if this turns into something? Because again, a rookie typically also one drafted later and drafted onto a winning team and a veteran team that has title aspirations. The chances of making an impact or being a rotational player throughout the year and into the postseason is smaller. But when you see flashes like that and everyone, kind of lights up the way they did, then your mind starts to go towards, is this found money? Like, is this guy? What if Baylor starts doing stuff? Did you get in your head that like, hey, maybe I can kind of crack this, or maybe I can earn myself some playoff minutes when you started to play a little bit more later in the year and started to get results? And then were you disappointed it didn't happen? Again, we get it. Playoff rotations are tight, but did you think maybe I get in here and maybe I can do something and make a mark?
I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, I was just trying to control what I could control. And, every time I stepped out on the court, I tried to play as hard as possible and kind of just leave a flair and leave a imprint on the game. And, I felt like, the last 2 months of the season, I put myself in good position to, be someone that, Joe could call on and trust to go in and execute what we're trying to do. And like you said, I understand the playoffs are, even more shortened of a rotation, and obviously disappointed that, I didn't necessarily play as a lot, but I also understood, the situation, and that's just, more motivation going into the offseason to continue to get better and continue to put myself in position to be there, in the future.
How do you think you got better during the rookie year? What put you in a position to play more later? What kind of things did you have to work on throughout the year? And, I want to hear about the rookie experience too on the Celtics, like we were mentioning earlier. Like, are you having to carry bags throughout the year? Like, are guys having you like run and grab them a coffee? Like, what's that like during your first season?
Yeah, honestly, like I thank the Lord every day that I was drafted to the Celtics and the group that we had, because they were great in terms of that. Like they really weren't like, didn't make me do anything crazy. Had to bring cards to the plane. Guys would text me for a coffee to go get a coffee before we went to the arena, like little stuff like that, but nothing like nothing insane. You see, like nobody popcorned my car. No one, made me get up at crazy hours of the night. Like it was a pretty smooth experience. And honestly, I'm very thankful and grateful for the guys that they, kind of, made the transition smooth and didn't necessarily have to do all that stuff. To be completely honest.
There's got to be one guy though, right? There's got to be at least one person who's poking at you a little bit. Rook, is there someone on the team?
I mean, if there wasn't really anybody crazy, if there was somebody, it was always, it's kind of Peyton, and he was just he honestly just did it as a joke. He would always bring it up as a joke, just kind of like hinting at different stuff. But honestly, he didn't really make me do anything crazy either. So
This show, as always, is powered by Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Turn your sports opinions into real cash with Prize Picks. Looking ahead to Sunday's basketball playoffs, Game 2, Indiana Pacers versus Oklahoma City Thunder. I got to tell you, I love what's going on here with the Pacers. I think based on what they did, surprising everyone to come back and win Game 1, people might be expecting an OKC blowout in Game 2. So I'm looking at this right now. Tyrese Halliburton, 16.5 points, more. I think that's a no-brainer. And I'm going to double up here with Pascal Siakam, 14.5 points. I think also more there as well. And if you want to add a third, SGA coming in at 34.5 points. I'm going to go less. I'm going to go less on SGA. I want to remind you at home, you should always check the Prize Picks app. There's free squares to be had all the time, so make sure you check in prior to Game 2. Once again, all you have to do for new users is download that Prize Picks app, use the code CLNS, play 5, get 50 instantly in your account. Once again, download the app, play 5, Get 50 instantly when you use the code CLNS. Prize Picks, run your game.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're gonna do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to
Same.
feel that
Same
way?
to you.
Let's fly Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke